the Light Institute, and the Sanctuary of Light welcome each and all of you to this time of knowings and invite you to bring forward the questions of your hearts so that we can, in our communication, take away the veils that limit all of humanity. So please just ask what's important to you.
Well, I have a question that I just wanted to ask you because I know some of the answers, but I just wanted to play with you with it. And that is it's not my question, it's a question someone's asked me, which I love, which is, when is the future?
You know, we used to have a course here called the Course in Riddles. And those were the kind of questions that we would ask, and then everyone had to write down as quickly as possible the answer to that. When is the future? The future is now, of course. That's a simple answer. And the reason for that is that all of your thoughts and all of the gestures and all of the synergy that moves of all the vibrations of life and currents of cosmic energies are creating from what is now the future. The future does not happen independently. It doesn't come upon us from someplace else. It comes upon us from the base of the past weaving with the present that rolls into the future. And so when we say, what is the future? What will it be like? How will it be for me? The answer to that is, what is the vision you hold? What is the consciousness you embrace? Because whatever that is what will ripple out into the future. And so it's a very, very important question because it allows us to peel away the illusions that the future, that the possibilities, that the limitations are all coming from the outside, whereas they're all coming from the inside. They're all coming from what it is we have created, what it is that we wish to create, what is in our hearts in terms of our sense of what is possible, how we sense ourselves. As we say at the Light Institute, the sense of self. And so those things coalesce and create the future. So we say in prophecy, we can never say what the future will be. In effect, we actually can. Look upon yourself at this moment, and that will tell you your future.
Could you talk about cosmic thought? I mean, we talk a lot about our human thoughts, but how does the cosmos
think?
Yes, exactly.
That's a lovely one. Well, no, many great books, the Bible included, say, and first there was the Word. And that means that there was consciousness, which we interpret as a word, because we condense consciousness into something that we can think, something that we can recognize in ourselves. I would say that thought on a cosmic level has to do with the magnetism of purpose, has the magnetism of what it pulls in this direction and that direction, that then comes from the unmanifest and creates form. So thought is an energy that coalesces particles, whether they're waves, into what we in human terms would call thought. The cosmos thinks in terms of, when we say thinks in terms of purpose, what we mean again is there is purpose in the chaos of the cosmos because there's magnetism, because there is direction. There are directions that we cannot see because we don't see enough multidimensional correlations. But if we could see the hologram, we would see this infinite ball of points of reference. And throughout that points of reference is the thought of the cosmos, that which creates the wind, that which creates the black hole, that which creates the energies emitting from stars or coming into planets. All of that is cosmic thought. And that thought is always evolution. It's always change. It's always the pulse that continues the rippling out of creation. That is cosmic thought, creation. It can also hold within creation destruction. We see them as opposites. There is creation and there is destruction. There is black and there is white. There is day and the night. But as the Chinese, a very cosmic galactic race, has been speaking of for eons of time, the yin and the yang, which means that creation and destruction are completely interwoven. In the same way in your body, at this moment, millions of cells are dying. And from their death comes that which is a part of creation. That which holds a blueprint that creates something new. That which is done away with so that there's a purification which nourishes that which is new. So creation is dependent upon destruction. Destruction is dependent upon creation. And there is that infinite figure eight, the coming and the going. And those elements, again, are the purpose, the mandate, the thought of the cosmos. Some people believe in the creator. So what is the creating energy? To create from that which is. Speaking of the future, create from that which is, even if it is unmanifest, even if it is within only the vibrations of possibility, something that coalesces into form. And that's what thought. Many of the old myths spoke, it was fascinating to me that almost all human myths speak about how the Creator created man and then said, oh, this isn't good enough, we'll destroy him and create again. You know, and of course I'm sure that that's a polluting imprint from human consciousness. That we are never perfect, that we are never what was intended. Oh, we are what is intended. We are that which was intended, and we are that which creates the intended. Cosmic thought.
And sort of following on that, what is now pulling on the planet?
What is pulling on the planet is light. What is pulling on the planet is great expansion, to free the planet, to tear away the weight and the depth of the destructive forces that we ourselves have been so much a part of. The elements that we have put into play. To give you an example, whenever there are a large number of chemtrails, we can pray for rain, we can call the rain, and it will not come because the chemtrails pouring chemicals, toxic chemicals into the sky disrupt the molecules of rain, disrupt this energy that would come to us. Forgot your question.
About the pull on the planet.
Oh, the pull, yes. So there's a very strong pull for expansion, to embrace frequencies that are coming in, to open to frequencies that are coming in that will quicken the evolution right now, that will, again, play upon the destructive energies to release the binding that we have within human consciousness, within human genetic encoding, within the matrix of the earth itself. And that's why the prophets have talked about the eruptions, the volcanoes, the tsunamis, the earthquakes. And they all talk about it as in terms of purification. I was meditating on that on the plane the other day, and it occurred to me that we really need to correct that consciousness because it is a part of the old aspect, those old thought forms, that what is here is not perfect, is polluted in some way, and the only way we can have evolution is purification. Purification is the wrong word. It's simply the dissolving away that which has no purpose, that which does not serve the evolutionary process, rather than the connotation that we ourselves or it is negative. All energy simply changes form. It just transmutes itself. And so what's going on in the planet now is that there's a quickening, and that quickening is causing an opening, which is lessening the electromagnetic field which holds the integrity of our planet, so that more light, more radiation is coming in. As more light and more radiation comes in, And there will be great shifts on the planet that will take us to the next octave. So that's what's coming in. The darkness, the negativity, the heaviness cannot withstand the frequencies that are coming on this planet. And so it is a pivotal time for consciousness. It's a very pivotal time for humans to recognize the consciousness of all other sentient beings. And there was a lot of talk in the papers in California about, preparation for earthquakes and creating new technologies and cooperation between Mexico and the United States because we share fault lines. And I was thinking to myself, what that will do is it will say there's an earthquake now. So it isn't going to really, it'll allow for the alarm, but it will not really take care of what would you do if you heard the alarm, how would you escape, maybe you can get under a desk. What we need to do is listen to Earth. Earth will tell us, the dogs will tell us, enough in advance to actually be a part of nature. If we understood that, we ourselves could contribute to the forces and the tension that occur within the earth that would allow for these things to manifest in such a way as that we could be in harmony with them, with tsunamis, with volcanic eruptions, with earthquakes. So we need a catapultic leap in our consciousness so that we can be a part of the expansion, be a part of the energies that are coming in so that we can participate rather than say, oh, we've destroyed our planet. No, in effect, the planet will just shake off the humans. If we pollute it too much, it will just get rid of us. I am starting another little book called We Galactics, and I'm going to be talking in there about the galactics within the seas. So I've been doing some research about how it is that our planet has seas. What has been astounding to me is that our planet is about 9 billion years old. It actually had no water initially, but it was the meteors who hit the planet who brought the seas. Think about the thousands and thousands of miles of sea water that's on our planet and what that would have been like. How many meteors would have hit our planet to create that? So there's unfathomable information about our beginnings, about our source, about our potential that we have not utilized yet on this planet. So we need for the opening, we need to embrace that. It will create changes, and if we could recognize that we have the right and the mandate to be a part of those changes, we could speed Earth's evolution and our own. So that, again, we want to be able to work with radiation, we want to be able to work with light in such a way that we can harmonize on all octaves of potential and allow the Earth to receive energies that are coming in. We have such a limited concept of what is good and what is not good. Our fear of aliens, our fear of radiation, our fear of so many events that could spark such a grandiose evolution of potential. So it's time for us to shed the smallness and be a part of the energies coming in. After all, if it's a meteorite or a meteor, it comes from a comet, and we are made of the same stuff. So we just need to shift our consciousness, to expand our consciousness, to meditate within the infinite streaming of cosmic thought, cosmic purpose, of the energies that are being not only attracted to Earth, but that Earth is pulling. Earth is pulling these energies. And so there is a balance. It's hard for us to see that because we can't imagine 9 billion years. But we have it within our genetic encoding to be able to recognize that.
Listening to you, it seems like you talked about destruction is kind of part of construction, and it seems that this whole concept of judging things and saying, okay, this is bad, this is good, is really what, this is right, this is wrong, this is really what brings us into trouble, because we kind of put a value on certain things. And do we need a new language? Do we need, how can we
Well, we
access
do need
that?
to release those. And as we release those, a new language will come to us.
Okay.
You know, when I was a young woman, I'm still a young woman, when I was a younger woman, I really worked for a number of years trying to find a language that would describe all of these elements of experience. And finally my own higher self said, just forget the language. You know? It will come through the vibration of energy around and through you. And so yes, we need to not hold to these old concepts of good and evil and positive and negative, because we place ourselves within that, and it's too small for who we are and our potential. So what we want to do is to hold within us the capacity to reach to inspiration, so that when we're inspired by something, some creative idea or some image that we see, that brings us into the relationship of the vibration of change. And then eventually we'll learn to describe it in new ways. To do that, we have to expand. We have to recognize that the soul is infinite, that we're part of infinite universes, never mind our solar system, that our life has profound purpose, that we have lived infinite incarnations of the soul, again and again and again. And as we do that, we can free ourselves from the smallness of how will I survive, how will I win the argument, how will I make it through, but rather the capacity to connect into the energies that allow us to make it through, because they are the energies that expand and open and allow potential. And so yes, we very much need a new language, but that language has to be based on the actual experience, the 70 senses that we have as we're in body, to become aware, to become conscious of that infinite interweaving of energies. So that, you know, as all the traditional cultures have always said, there is nothing bad that does not come for some good. And so again, as we begin to see the interfacing, the interweaving, the enfolding of what seems to be opposite energies, we begin to see purpose or potential from a completely different perspective. And so what I'm saying is, when something terrible happens to you or to someone else, look for its potential. What could this bring? When we have a tsunami, it washes the earth. It isn't that it purifies the earth. In the same way that the Nile for thousands of years came down and provided life in a desert. The sea comes up and it alters the land. The same is true of volcanoes. The same is true of wind, of rain, of hurricanes. That there is something that's shifting it. So what we want to do is to be part of what is coming through the shift. So that we are literally part of the source of evolution. Whether that's new species or, again, new environments. The human body is infinitely adaptable. We're trailing way behind the viruses, way behind the viruses and the bacteria, but we do have the power of adaptability. And it is always when we adapt, just like plants, adaptogens, that we create new chemistry, new possibilities, new life forms. And so new art, new selves. And so we need very much to make that leap and what will come of this that will support us. That's the opening. What will come of it that will support us? And in that, calling in from the cosmos into us, we create the magnetism to support us. And then we use that support, we extend it out to be the agents of change. It's a beautiful cosmic system, in effect.
Can I ask
Yes.
something? In going through my life and being confronted with happenings like last night, somebody died in Galisteo, and I observed that it seems to be that there are different parts of my being reacting differently to happenings like that. And my question, I think, is, it seems they're all kind of part who I am as a human being. And how can we kind of juggle them in a way that we're not get stuck in one side, but are not too much on the other side, so that we kind of push away people who are on this side?
It's a beautiful question, and it's something that happens to people all the time. And that is that when you are able to use the power of discernment and choice, and then you can weave these sides. For example, if somebody died, we can feel the sorrow of all of the people in Galisteo. It affects the whole town when one member, one grain of sand is released. And so we can recognize that. But we can embrace the sorrow from a place of consciousness. So we don't have to enter into that level of desperation and fear and loss that people typically get into. But we can use our consciousness to embrace, to celebrate that person's life, to celebrate their freedom because they chose that on this level of the soul, and they are all right. And then we can use our higher consciousness without saying a word to extend energy out that supports everyone. We will go on. Someone has left us, but we will again become the legacy. We will embrace the legacy of that person. So they will fold in. Their bodies will be gone, but their energy will fold in to the pot, the mixing pot of all of our consciousness, and we will change. So we thank them for the gifts that they give us. So behind all of the, I don't want to be too disconnected from people who are in sorrow. I can connect with them, but I can connect with them from a place that sees more. It doesn't mean you have to say it to them, because people are often not ready to hear that. They need to feel that they have the right to cry and to feel all that tragedy. But the more that you extend the light, the more they will rise into the light, and they will, of their own accord, begin to say, I am at peace now. I am glad that my friend or my family no longer suffers, or that they have gone on to something that for them is more than what is here. I will mention this. I've said it before at other times, that it was such a powerful lesson to me. When my son-in-law died, I saw his spirit go down into what the Catholics would call purgatory, down into the darkness, and rummage around in there for a while. And then it began to rise up, and as it rose up, simultaneously, his parents came for him. I have never seen a picture of his parents. They died mysteriously when he was 4. But his parents came from him, and suddenly I saw him, and they had great light around him, around them. And he looked at them, and he reached for them, and then he would turn back and look at my daughter and me. And our light was much smaller than their light. And he would look at us, and he would look at them, and he would look at us, and he would look at them, and finally he just whoosh into this incredible expansion of light. Would I want to hold him back? Would I want to say, no, don't leave us, come back into your injured body? Instead of completing some karma, some contract vow that he had with these soul friends who came, who could coalesce the energy to manifest themselves in form. And when I saw them, having never seen them before, I saw them as if they were right there. And then later, at the funeral, I saw the pictures of them, and they were, of course, exactly as I had seen them. And so again, we want to expand our consciousness and actually use thought, use our awareness to reach and say, what is the best that can come from this? And even though you might see it in the future and the others don't, you can hold that energy. All people will heal. They will heal from this disconnect. And on the other hand, I would say that not even death separates us. And people need not pull upon the spirit of their beloved, don't leave me, I'm waiting for you, talk to me, but rather to become the essence of the best qualities of that person, and in that way the connection continues. But the physical body is only one, as you were saying, it's only one level of who we are, and our capacity to change, to adapt, to embrace, to recognize what is true. And so we don't have to be that part of us that it becomes terrified emotionally. Although if we do, we can acknowledge that and allow it. But just like the spirit that falls into the darkness, there's no bottom to the darkness. So eventually it will begin to rise into the light, into consciousness. That is the pulse of the cosmos. That is cosmic law. And as it rises into the light, new possibility comes about. And so you always want to feel the truth of yourself. You know? Yes, you might have known someone. It might have been a terrible accident. And suddenly, that is plucked from your comfort zone, from your, this is who I am who I am because of all the people that surround you. Well, suddenly, one of the people that surround you has made a space for you. No one else will fill that space, but that space will begin to tear apart the construct of squeezing and limitation, and it will open in other areas and new energies will come. In the same way that we often relive our parents' lives, their thoughts, their emotions, their limitations, there will come other energies that are similar. And so we can choose how to engage with these new energies. Not the same. Never just around the circle, but always these spiraling energies of evolution. Be yourself.
Chris, can you speak about the difference or the relationship between instinct and intuition?
Yes. I think they are an incredible dance at this time when there's so much that has to do with the natural world, which relates to instinct. Instinct really comes from the back of the brain, the old brain, which is a part of fight or flight. It's a part of the recognition, is it safe, is it not safe? Sometimes we have an instinct that says, that interweaves with what we might call precognition, even. You know, an instinct that says, this isn't good, this won't work out, you know, or that horse will not live long, or something like that. We have those instincts that have to do with our relationship to that. That's why it's fight or flight. Whereas intuition is another octave up. It's not so intertwined with how do I survive? Is this good for me or not? Intuition is a sense of potential. It has a conscious recognition of the coalescence of possibility, what I call critical mass. You know, there's all these possibilities that something could occur because of our thoughts, because of the environments, because of many different emotional, political, physical, mental, spiritual energies around. And so we intuit from sensing all of those a potential there. And so we can trust our intuition and we can trust our instinct. We can trust them both. And we can use them both. In the same way we can use the outer beta mind and at the same time go into the theta, the alpha, the theta, the delta minds as well. We can use all of these octaves in concert with each other. So there are times when instinct serves us, and there are times when intuition serves us. Now, of course, I would say we want to develop more our intuition, simply because it allows us to see a large hologram, how everything is connected to everything else, and therefore creates critical mass, without the negative aspects of fight or flight or instinct, which is really, again, that old brain. You know, do I walk in here? Instinct is you're walking along a path and suddenly you feel the rattlesnake before you hear it. You know, you feel the animal before you have any other sensory perception of it. That's instinct. And fortunately, we have inherited it, and as we've come up the evolutionary ladder, and so it's useful to us. Your intuition would probably not tell you there's a rattlesnake there. You know, your intuition would probably say, all beings are part of this earth. I walk with the beings of this earth. See? So it's very wonderful to recognize both of them. And what I would say is that anytime you have an instinctual awareness or an intuitive awareness, you want to say, thank you, body. You want to stimulate a recurrence of that, so that you create a groove for each of those and both of those, so that your body, your primordial body, and your light body are in tune, and they have a place to speak to you. Most of us are so deadened by, you know, watching TV, about our negative thoughts, the chatter in our brains, that we actually don't pay attention. And then very often we'll say, you know, I knew that. I knew that would happen. But we didn't pay attention to it beforehand. We didn't trust either our instinct or our intuition beforehand, which would have served us to be able to contribute. And so whenever you feel, that, whether it's instinct or whether it's intuition, you want to say, that's it, body. Thank you, body. And then all those subtle bodies that you have will be alert to do it again. It's just like feeding cookies to your dogs. I'm in the training process. Exactly. So those are beautiful elements to recognize within ourselves and to live. It's our birthright.
Could you talk a little bit about the higher self and how it actually communicates, how we communicate with it? In your words of light, CD, I don't remember how you said it, but it really, you know, it felt so true, and I've experienced it that way, that you said the higher self doesn't speak in lengthy
discourses.
You know, yeah. Right. Could you talk about
it's a little bit of a flash, the way the higher self talks to us, and it really folds into this conversation we were just having, because I would say that the higher self speaks both through intuition and instinct. It will, it can warn you. You know, that's the higher self. It isn't that the higher self feels your life has to be saved, because the higher self is the megaphone of your soul. So it knows you can throw away this body, the soul will continue. But if it is not your moment, it will whisper to you through your instinct or your intuition, go this way, learn this lesson, become aware of that. So the higher self often will speak to you in a flash. It's interesting to note that there's a correlation between our peripheral vision, our retinic cells, and the retinic cells that exist within the third eye, in the pineal gland, which is something that we inherited from the lizards, really. For the lizards, it was the pineal telling them about light, so how old they were or what season it was. For us, the pineal gland is sensitive to light because the light body orchestrates the physical form and physical and mental consciousness. So the higher self may whisper again through that, literally a flash in the corner of your consciousness. Very often when people have an intuitive awareness, it'll come as a flash at the edge of their consciousness. You know, you're driving along and suddenly you think of someone. You're driving along or suddenly you say, that's it. The idea comes to you. That's that peripheral vision which is central to the expansion of light, the expansion of consciousness. Consciousness is embraced in light. So we want to practice or embrace our relationship to our own inner voice, what I call the higher self, the intuitive essence of the soul. And at the Light Institute we say the all-loving, all-knowing higher self, that aspect of you that is cosmic. And it does whisper to us. It might whisper to you in a sentence in a book, as you were talking about, or somebody saying something. It might whisper to you because you saw an owl. And at the moment that you saw that owl, something alerted your consciousness. So the higher self speaks to you within all of your 70 senses, within the realm of your tactile experience, your visual experience, your auditory experience, you know, your taste experience. It can talk to you through all of those elements of consciousness. I ask my higher self questions, and that's how I align myself to those energies. Even absurd daily questions. Shall I wear this today? Shall I eat that over there? Shall I call somebody now? Should I do this later? Should I go in that direction? I'll throw out the questions and then I just go on. And sometimes the answer is instant. This, not that. Or sometimes it comes to me when I wake up in the morning. Or it comes to me because someone suddenly says something to me. And I go, oh, that's the answer. That's the connection. That's what my higher self is showing me. And so we want to expand our capacity to perceive through these infinite avenues of consciousness so that we become aware and truly trust that there is an aspect of our own soul that's continually guiding our lives.
Chris, there's so many TV shows out there at the moment that center around a quote-unquote genius that, you know, by normal standards has amazing cognitive skills or can arrive at a solution quicker than others.
Yes.
Or, you know, see some kind of a more holographic, bigger picture. So
Yes.
I was wondering if you could speak about just the potential of the brain or the thought processes, you know, along those scientific lines even.
You know, again, let me start with that by saying, why don't, I don't want to say you and I, because you and I both have those qualities. Why don't we, as humans, think that we have those qualities, that we project on the other person and say, look, they have this talent. I don't have that talent. Yeah. It's because there is nothing in our cultures, our religions, our societies, and our homes that teach us the power of the self. There is nothing that supports your intuition, that rings a bell. You know, Pavlovian rings the bell every time a little child hits it on the nose, is intuitive, comes up with the answer. So we don't nourish or respond or acknowledge the infinite times a day when actually you do come up with solutions, when you do arrive at some point of awareness without going through the process of it. It just, as we were just speaking of, aha, it's the light goes on, I know that. I know what it is, you know. And so the way that we can develop that further is, as I was saying a moment ago, is to really acknowledge it in ourselves. If you see someone, let's say, who's a brilliant mathematician, now, of course, if you came to the Light Institute, we would say, let's go into a lifetime when you had that, so that the cellular level of your body would align to it. We might go into a memory when you did something like that in this lifetime as well. We might look at that quality. That person can add without adding. They just come to the solution. Where do I hold that potential in me? See, that again is the acknowledgement. If you are willing to allow it, it will come to you. If you are willing to manifest, you will manifest. And so it's not that far away. No. Why do we see it? We wouldn't recognize it unless we had some point of reference for it. It belongs within us as well. I think in actuality, probably everyone in this group, if you were looking back at a memory, could find a memory in which you performed a miracle. You knew the answer. I remember when I first started learning algebra, I didn't have to do the problem. I could just see the equal sign and I put the other side. Because I could see this side of the equation equals this side of the equation. It just came to me. I could see it. And it was so much fun. I loved algebra. I loved all the little symbols. I loved all the little numbers. And then my teacher said, "You're cheating," and took me to the principal's office to be punished. That was the end of my brilliant mathematic genius. It pops up every little once in a while. But what would it have been if somebody had said, "That's it. That's the way. Keep doing that." And so I think everyone has on some level of there being some way that they did something like that. But since it was not applauded, we erase it. So what I would say is it's time now to realize that it doesn't take a genius brain, by the way. What is a genius brain? A genius brain is a brain, science would say, oh, maybe it has more convolutions of gray matter, like Einstein's all his convolutions. I might say it's just juicier. It has more neurotransmitters stimulating. Basically what I would say is that it doesn't have the blockages. It doesn't have the blockages, especially in the new brain and the midbrain, that will not transmit this echo that goes through that says, here's the answer. Here's the reality. Here's the potential. And so I think it's very important to have cranials, as we do at the Light Institute, to nourish the brain. I was just at a conference about Alzheimer's disease, and they were listing the causes of it that they're aware of, which I found very interesting. High fevers, trauma to the head, trauma of any kind, dehydration. And of course, if the brain is 90% water, and that's what's necessary for all this electrical, chemical transactions to go on, then we somehow have to get the water into the brain, so that it can think. Everyone knows if you get dehydrated, if you're in the sun too long, you get confused, you can't think. And so what I would say is the brain, all brains are capable of miracles, are capable of potentials. Again, very often we don't value them because no one is ever aware, even in themselves, that they're doing it. They're not aware. And so it's very important for us to begin to seek out any particular skill. If there's some skill that you really admire, maybe it's mathematics, then that's the one you want to play with. That's the one you want to say, "You can do it, body." Look at that, how fast I came up with that answer. You have to encourage the body. You could give it a sip of water every time it did the equation right. It wouldn't matter what you did. But it would create a point of reference. And that's how the brain functions. It functions through points of reference. And many of those points of reference are tied to experiences that we have, to the reticular activating system of the brain, which records experiences of our parents, our grandparents. So we need points of reference. When you see the point of reference in another person, where am I holding that? Where's that point of reference in me? And then just go into that point of reference and as if you could touch it. Maybe you have to bring a frequency of light, a color into it, but just acknowledge it and then let it go. And that will begin to create a base from which you will repeat and repeat and repeat and build on that frame of reference so that it is yours. Building it on as yours does not take it away from the other person. We don't have to be jealous. We don't have to be envious. We don't have to say, well, they have it, but I don't. We just have to say, thank you for showing it to me. And now I'll claim it inside me. It doesn't take away from them. That is a very powerful point of reference that humans have not quite learned to use socially, economically, spiritually, physically across the planet yet. But that's part of our mandate. How do we share? How do we applaud? How do we move back and forth? Again, potential, solutions, wherewithal, whether that's money or tools or food or whatever it is. So it's time. It's time. The most important thing is to never criticize your brain. Never think of yourself as stupid. Again, through consultations, exercises in consciousness, or doing Light Institute work, we would always want to release that. I would also say that every child has a place where somebody called them stupid. Somebody said, why can't you get it? You'll never amount to anything. You're so stupid. Could happen, it could be spoken by a sibling, a child, a teacher, a stranger. And calling you stupid doesn't have to be in words. It can be in a, that's a big one. And so we want to erase those memories and choose the ones that support the opening of who we are. Imagine if you've had infinite incarnations, the actual brilliance you have accrued as a soul. How many lifetimes have you been brilliant at mathematics, or art, or healing, or astronomy, etc., etc.? They're all in there. They're all in there. That's why our bodies are so powerful, so perfect. What else?
I was thinking about in relation to letting go of what's small and letting go of the fear and judging things to be good or bad, and the idea that we would greatly benefit from being able to let go of the fear of one another.
Ah, beautiful.
Because in terms of evolution in our early stages, the human propensity to quickly judge another person was actually a survival advantage.
Yes.
But now it seems to serve us less well and seems more to present a limitation that doesn't encourage the applauding of the other that you were just referring to, and the just being overwhelmed at the gift that someone has, and the recognition that if that person, being a human being, has that, I therefore participate in that to whatever degree
That's right.
I'm willing to allow
Yes.
myself to participate.
Yes.
And so I was wondering if you might speak to the idea of a pattern that was previously beneficial in human evolution, and how best for the individual to start to approach this.
So let me just shake that up a little bit.
Sure.
And say that from my perspective, that was a devolution, in that I feel that the original humans had a choice there. They could have gone on to open a sleeve of consciousness, cosmic consciousness, without devolving into judgment. I don't think a judgment, we didn't have to survive by judging the other and going, oh, they're dangerous, or oh, they want something from us. We could have actually expanded and said, oh, they want something, how should we give it to them? See, in other words, we went into the fear, we went into the negativity, we went into the survival, because we lost the sense of self as divine beings. That there were, have been, are today, and will be beings on this planet who have consciousness that doesn't need that step. We somehow fell into that. And I would say that perhaps one of the difficulties of our infinite incarnations is that negative, slow vibrations instill themselves, imprint themselves more easily. So we remember that, don't be foolish, watch out for the danger, rather than, oh, this person could be dangerous because they have this problem, I'll just solve it for them. See, it's because we don't see ourselves as able to step in and take away the source agitation that causes the danger or the negativity. And that's what we need to come to. And that's why it's so important to perceive ourselves in a different way and to see, as you beautifully said, that what they're doing, we are a part of. We are either anchoring in or proving to them that they should be negative or scared, or we have the opportunity to source something that takes them away from that. And that's where we are in our own evolutionary process right now, is to see beyond, oh, this could be dangerous, to how do we fix it? How do we fix it? It won't be dangerous in and of itself. It will only be dangerous because the funnel narrows down, just like people who become negative or become ill or commit suicide. The choices narrow down until we can't see any other possibility. This is why it's so important to see the mind of the cell, not just this brain we have, but the mind of the cell, to perceive a hologram that is bigger than the thing that you think is crucial down here. What are the possible solutions to that? If you do that, if you participate in that, then that which is being expressed will dissolve and become something else. As the cosmic law, energy never dies, it just changes form. So no one is ever innately bad. They just think that's the way they can survive. They have the conclusion, them or us, I have to do it. Otherwise, you'll get it and I won't. Rather than us using collective consciousness to say, here's how we all get it. I'll have some and you'll have some, and then we're fine. And we must come to that now, economically, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels. And we can. So it didn't really serve its purpose, it just slowed it down from my perspective. We went through a time, and we're coming out of that time, when the judgment would perhaps allow us to see something we need to see in order to survive. But it's the slow way. It's the slow way. Again, what we want to do is to see what is causing this, and what are all the potentials that we could place into that puzzle that would free us all. And we simply, we're being forced into that in today's world. And I'm thrilled about this, because I absolutely know that we have the intelligence and the wherewithal to come to those recognitions. And sometimes we have to kick and scream a little bit. And that's what's going on, and it's wonderful because our voices are being heard. And we must choose to be visible. There's nobody who can hide through this evolution. And those that are finished are leaving for their own grace. Not because they're lacking, but because they've played their part. And so let us all take a deep breath and really imagine that we have a bigger part to play. So I'd like to do a little quick exercise in consciousness here, to close your eyes, take a deep breath into your body, and trusting that you do have a higher self, an intuitive essence of your soul. Ask your higher self to give you a tool that will help you to experience that you have a bigger part to play than you had imagined before, that you can now ask to participate in a bigger way. It could be a symbol or an object or a color. Breathe deeply and allow the first thing that comes into your consciousness to come to you. Whatever that is, bring it into your body and command the trillions of cells of your body to hold that tool. that will now help you to see it bigger, to give more, to be a part of a bigger purpose. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. The more that we do that, the easier it is for us to allow all those energies coming from the cosmos to actually get to us. All of our limitation, and it can't be, and it won't be, and that won't be me, all of that shielding melts away and it comes directly into us. What was it that you got?
I got a very geometrically proportional figure 8.
Fabulous.
It was not the elongated Egyptian eternal life symbol, because I sort of looked to see if it was going to become that, but it just very proportional.
Great.
And the sense of having been in one orb or ring, and now there's a ring or orb of equal dimension attached to that.
Fabulous.
And expansion allowed from one to the
Beautiful.
other.
I had a lovely one I'd like to share as well. I saw that this dark hole of the cosmos, you know, and what my higher self gave me was the tool to open up the dark hole, the black hole, like this, and as it peeled open, it became gray, and opened up, and then all of these infinite stars came through. It was such a great feeling, you know, that thing that everyone says is more powerful than anything, you know, the black holes of the cosmos. Just opened it up, and all of these stars were released, all of these energies of light were released and came in.
It was interesting to me that this figure 8 was in white light, but everything behind it was absolutely black.
Yeah. And that is exactly what we're talking about, exactly where we are on all levels of potential. Fantastic. Would anyone else like to share what you got?
I got this little carved little Venus shirt I found at San Lazaro.
What is it?
It's an old shirt, but someone carved
Shard.
it. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh,
I've
fantastic.
been playing with it for a week and I just got that right away. I've been having fun. It brought me here tonight.
Isn't that
It's a little bossy
fabulous?
because it's clay, but I'm having so much fun with
Yes.
it. And it's 600 years old. No one's touched it for 600 years. It was in a plaza.
And look at the shape of it.
I
You
know,
know,
isn't
it's the vessel. It's the receiving vessel that holds all potential. It's fantastic. So it's a beautiful message to you of the infinite, timeless truth, you know, and also the yin, the power of the yin. Wonderful. And so let us carry ourselves out with all of our tools and the recognition of who we truly are. Blessings.